A warm welcome to Diplomatic Channel this week. I'm Amarachi Ubani. This week we have a very interesting conversation. It has to do with President Bola Tinubu being elected as ECOWAS chair. What does it portend for Nigeria and the region? This is also happening before the announcement of the ministerial list here in Nigeria. It's important to set an agenda for the incoming Minister of Foreign Affairs. My guest is Ambassador Lawrence Obisakin, a retired career ambassador now engrossed in doing the Lord's work, but who still offers guidance on international relations and global issues. We'll also be staying with the political crisis in Sudan. The International Criminal Court has opened an investigation into a surge of hostilities in the Darfur region. According to ICC prosecutor Karim Khan, the allegations of killings, rapes, arson, displacement, and crimes affecting children will be thoroughly investigated. That's Diplomatic Channel in a wrap. A quick check first on other discussions in diplomatic circles, and we'll be right back.
Nigeria's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been attending the African Union's 5th mid-year coordination meeting in the Kenyan capital, Nairobi. The president, who is the chairman of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, presented a report on the status of regional integration in ECOWAS, highlighting actions implemented during the period under review by ECOWAS institutions, member states, the private sector, and other stakeholders. Earlier, the president called on African leaders to respect democracy, the rule of law, and ensure political stability, and asked the United Nations to stand firm against military coups. Participants at the Sudan Neighboring Countries Summit in Cairo, Egypt, have rejected foreign intervention in the country and called for urgent, immediate talks between rival Sudanese military factions that have triggered a regional humanitarian crisis. The communique of the meeting emphasized that Sudan's sovereignty should be respected and there should be no foreign interference. It also voiced great concern about the ongoing military operations and the acute deterioration of security and the humanitarian situation in Sudan. Leaders from Egypt, Ethiopia, South Sudan, Chad, Eritrea, the Central African Republic, and Libya, as well as officials of the Arab League and the African Union Commission, attended the meeting. Russian President Vladimir Putin says a Ukrainian counteroffensive aimed at recapturing territory was not succeeding and that attempts to break through Russian defenses had failed. President Putin made the remarks in an interview with state television, which excerpts were released on Sunday. The Russian president said, "All attempts by the enemy to break through our defenses, and this is our objective, which includes the use of strategic reserves, they have not been successful for the entire time of the offensive. The enemy has no success."
Welcome back to the program. This weekend, the African Union held its mid-year coordination meeting in the Kenyan capital, Nairobi. Attending the meeting on behalf of Nigeria was President Bola Tinubu, who is also attending as new chair of the heads of state and government of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS for short. Themed Acceleration of African Continental Free Trade Area Implementation, the meeting brought together the Bureau of the African Union Assembly. It's been a week since President Tinubu was appointed as the 36th chair of the ECOWAS, his first international appointment since his inauguration as Nigeria's president in May. But let's keep in mind the appointment came before the president was able to put together his cabinet. Over the next 1 year, President Tinubu will be expected to steer affairs at the regional body and provide guidance and leadership on its challenges in the continent. A nation's foreign policy is a reflection of its domestic policy. What can we say about President Tinubu's foreign policy? I want to bring in career diplomat and former Nigerian ambassador to the Republic of Benin, Ambassador Lawrence Obisakin. Ambassador Obisakin joins me from the nation's capital, Abuja. Thank you for joining me on the program today.
Thank you for inviting me.
It's a pleasure having you here. President Bola Tinubu has been in Nairobi attending the AU media meeting. He's expected to present a report on the status of regional integration in ECOWAS, highlighting actions implemented during the period under review by ECOWAS institutions, member states, the private sector, and other stakeholders. He's just been made ECOWAS chair, so what can we expect from him?
Well, thank you very much once again. We want to congratulate our president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for being chosen as the leader, primus inter pares, among the authorities of heads of state and government of our economic community of West African states, the Lagos Treaty of 1975. I want to congratulate him a lot. It's on the menu for him. You know, West Africa is in turmoil, and Nigeria being 75% of the wealth of West Africa. We are exactly 53% of the population. And in creation of wealth, Nigeria takes the lead. So since he's already started, you know, taking the bull by the horn economically, and, you know, the power of a nation's foreign relations or global relationship is directly linked with its economic, socio-economic power, the strength of its people. And if Nigeria gets it right, as people say, ECOWAS will get it right, because we are 75% of the wealth of ECOWAS. And he's already started by his economic policy, even though there will be some difficulties at the beginning, especially removal of fuel subsidy, and the petrol pump price has gone up. But if we get over this and he succeeds in rejiggling the economy of Nigeria, Nigeria is the engine that drives West Africa. West Africa will follow. And I believe we've got the wherewithal. Nigeria has got the manpower. Nigerians are doing very well abroad. And we know that if the conditions prevailing here favorable to creation of wealth, getting the youth involved, Nigeria will start again. As he said, Nigeria is back. Just like we used to be the leader when our products were all over, when the Naira was tenable, even in New York, even in England, when we could buy a car for 4,400 Naira, brand new car. If the economy, we may not go to that, but at least if the economy of Nigeria is working well, then you can see that West Africa will feel the impact. Africa will feel the impact. Even the world will feel the impact of Nigeria. We can expect from President Tinubu what he has done before, since he has been a good governor in Lagos that has succeeded in generating revenue. We look forward to seeing this within the framework.
It almost sounds like, you know, you're trying to describe a Nigeria that existed before, you know, recent times, a Nigeria that was strong economically, which is the reason why ECOWAS was founded in the first place.
Yes, Nigeria used to be very great. We're still great. Nigeria is still great. The population is still there. All they need is a leadership. As the president said, Nigeria is back, if I may talk about that, which means we've been away before. We've been slowing down before. These past 8 years, we all know what's happened. But I believe with the wisdom, with the grace of God also, because we must run away from this. And once the strength of Nigeria comes back, economic strength, and this is very, very important, that we should have peace. Because if you don't have peace, instability will not permit economic growth. And once almost all the problems we have, they have as trigger poverty. They are poverty triggered. They are driven by difficulty and hardship of the people. There's no doubt that what's been happening in the other parts of the world has been affecting us, because I'm a trigger for good family home training. That's what we have now. If we had the good home training as we used to have in the past, when you have European, in my own school in the University of Ife in the 1970s, Europeans were our classmates. We were studying together, which means the standard was international. Actually, during our time, if in the 70s, went to the University of Ife 75 to 1980, if you say you are traveling to America to study, it means you were not competent enough. You were not good enough, generally, you know. If you are good, you will stay in the University of Ife, University of Lagos, University of Ibadan, the first, 1948, you go to Nsukka there, or ABU, Zaria. And they were good. And were able to compete with the rest of the world. But something happened in between. If we're able to get it right again, things will come. There's a proverb that says in Yoruba that no matter how late you make your gown, flowing agbada, the earth is still there, the floor is still there for you to dance. You know, the population is there, the world is waiting, but it's Nigeria that has not been, playing its role as what we are destined to be. Imagine if we, the most populous country, black, African population in the whole world, followed by, say, Brazil, United States. What happens? We are destined to be. God doesn't make mistake. We are not just there for nothing. All these people that are not doing it, we must engage our people. We have to work. China did it, locked itself up, rejiggled its economy, and then if Nigerian industry begin to roar again, if you begin to have the textile mills in Ikeja, in Kaduna working again, the cotton gins are working, and the granite, we have to begin to produce again. But we can't afford to do what we were doing before, exporting raw cocoa, exporting raw materials. It's time now to add value, just like Ghana is doing, I think Cross River or Akwa Ibom is doing it, chocolate out of cocoa, and the world is waiting. It will be very good to have a car called Nigerica, for example, made in Nigeria, and study. If you have Nigerian armored vehicles made in Nigeria and Ogun State, and people are, countries in Europe are buying. So why can't we make cars? You have, products of Nigeria. People are waiting. It will be cheaper anyway. But so we have to also watch over our back. Who are the people that won't let us, that won't like us to develop? There's a theory in international relations that says that I may not, if I discover that your strength will make me a victim, then it's in my interest to stop you from being strong. Mm-hmm. So who are the people?
Yeah, really interesting. It does boil down to the fact that we need a strong domestic policy. And you're right when you point out, some of the developmental challenges that Nigeria has had. But even before he attended this meeting, the one in Nairobi that he's attending this weekend, the president called on African leaders to respect democracy, to respect the rule of law, ensure political stability. It does fall on his shoulders, doesn't it? The way he intends and the way he goes ahead to steer the regional group into achieving that. Apart from already existing political crisis in Mali and in Guinea, how do you think the President Tinubu can help West African states achieve political stability?
Well, he has his colleagues who are in charge of their different countries. As I said, he is the president of Nigeria now, and the way he goes about dialoguing, talking to people, discussing, consultation, because it's better to jaw than to war. Going to war costs. You lose blood, and you can't replace it. You can't manufacture it. See, it's good to dialogue. We can dialogue. There's virtually nothing that we cannot discuss. The only thing is that sovereignty, territorial integrity of Nigeria cannot be given out. So all these people, you call them, you discuss with them. Some of them are just saying with guns that, look, we want something. That's what it is. See, I like sayings. One of the idiomatic sayings says that, look, if the program that is on the table does not take into consideration my own interest, then I have no peace. I have no interest in the peace of that table. That's what it is. You see, look at the amnesty program that was given to Niger Delta. People started seeing the value of hard work. You train them. Some people, they could be there, but those who would not want integrity of our country, then the stick has to be used, and the boot has to be on the ground. Technology is good, but the boot has to be, men and women in uniform have to be there. And I thank God that the new service chiefs have said they are going to move to that place. We can get them out. Other people have done it before. You remember the IRA bombed everywhere, London, everywhere, and then they were able to get over it. How did United Kingdom do it? How did Sri Lanka do it? How did Pakistan do it? France also used to have. How did Italy do it? In those days, I remember around 78, 17, you dare not mention Red Brigade. Everybody will be shivering in Italy. How did they get it? We can learn from them, you know. Also, we can let them know, peace in Nigeria, those who don't want peace in Nigeria pays the world. It pays Africa. You're talking of 200 and something million people. And they're saying that in the next 55, we might be the second or the third biggest country in the world. So why don't let's dialogue how this country can make it. We can negotiate it. When we are okay, you'll be okay. If Nigeria is okay, Africa will be okay.
We still don't know who the Minister of Foreign Affairs is. But just before, he makes that announcement, it could be this week, we don't know. Just before he makes that announcement, what sort of, foreign policy should Nigeria be pursuing at this time?
Politics, I'm a graduate of French. The word politics and policy is the same in French, la politique. So you are talking of foreign politics of Nigeria, foreign policy of Nigeria. Foreign policy of Nigeria is clear. The Constitution, 1979, as amended, is very clear. Nigerian foreign policy has 8 points, 8 parameters. National interest first. We're interested, the interest of Nigeria is number 1. We are also interested in integration, regional integration. That's also important to us. And regional integration, we're also interested in just economic world order. It's important to us. Now, President Tinubu has started mentioning it. Democracy, we want to negotiate. He's been dialoguing. President of Guinea, Bissau that handed over to him, dialogue with them. Nigerian foreign policy, as we have said already, I believe that's been clear. Our domestic situation, our history, our geography, our human resources. That's going to be the strength. The realism school believes that power determines what you get. That the world is like the ocean. The sharks are there. You have to plot your way. Otherwise, you get eaten up. Some nations have disintegrated because they didn't manage the warlords and the power centers and the external forces working against them. We need to plot. We need to come together. Our leaders have to come together. And then when we are strong internally, we'll be strong in terms of foreign policy. Then you will be invited. You'll be invited if you are strong. There's no way. Look at those days, the youth, we used to be everywhere. ECOMOG, virtually Nigeria, bankrolled it. The ECOWAS group, observer group in Liberia and also Sierra Leone. You see, when Nigeria was strong financially, it was strong militarily. People say that the army run on its belly. A soldier that is not well fed, okay, it's not well armed. But if you arm our soldiers well, they are well fed, and our industries are working well, the foreign policy will be very easy. I remember when some people were misbehaving around, with the presence of Nigeria and the leadership of President Tinubu now, a lot could be achieved because our neighbors must be carried along. Look at what happened now. Our oil, they are flooding us with rice, and they are taking our fuel. Now, I heard we've increased fuel 500, 530. They've also jacked up their fuel. So what do? We need the cooperation of Benin, of Niger, of Cameroon, of Chad, because you can change your trading partners. You can't change your neighbors. Look at Benin, where I was ambassador, 778 kilometers of border with 6 languages that we speak in common, right from Egun, Mbadagri, which they speak in Porto Novo, across to Yoruba, you go up, they speak Bariba, they speak Batonu, which is Borgu. They speak Hausa and Fulani. So it's the same people. There's a way we can use this. I believe in using what you have. Says if the world throws you lemon, you make lemonade of it. All these people who say Almanjiris, we can train them. We have very good program. I can imagine a good program for them. Can you imagine the Almanjiris in Kano, in Maiduguri, speaking good Arabic, learning how to be a plumber in the evening, speaking good English? After 2-3 years, you send them abroad. They will be skilled men if they have satisfied the market here, and they will be bringing money to us. There's something like that China does, So we can, from our own domestic situation, we can regenerate. You know that Nigeria gave the world peace enforcement.
Yeah.
ECOWAS was to go and observe peace, to go and observe peace, But then there was no peace, so they had to enforce peace. And Nigeria has done so well. During the time of Agui Rossi, Fagiolo, them in Congo in 1960s, Nigeria has been all over the world, winning laurels. Nigerians are, even in the day of slavery, I read in Brazil, the Portuguese found out that the slaves from Nigeria were so good, were so brilliant, that they were using them to crossbreed other African ethnic groups to produce stronger and wise offspring. And do you know that even Nigerian, Ogedegbe Adinimodo, overpowered the Portuguese and declared Zumbi Republic in Brazil for 3 years, about 1593 or 1583. So our people are very brilliant. And that's why we are excellent wherever we are. But we have to make the best use of us. I hope I'm answering your question.
Yeah, I really appreciate, the lessons in history. And I'm sure our viewers will find that really intriguing as well. But just to close this interview, I know some people have criticized the president's taking on these roles, ECOWAS, and now going to the EU meeting without a minister of foreign affairs.
Has he got any choice?
Well, I guess he doesn't. He really doesn't have a choice. He's gone to these meetings. He's accepted an ECOWAS role without a minister of foreign affairs. Does it have any impact really on Nigeria's foreign policy?
No, please, Marachi, don't talk that way. I'm sorry. It has nothing to do with Ministry of Foreign Affairs is a wonderful ministry. I was there for 35 years. Brilliant people. The PAMSEC is there. He's a professional. We hope the minister will be an ambassador who knows who can hit the ground running. But if they bring a politician, we've had politicians. It doesn't matter. For ECOWAS, for example, we have a permanent representative of Nigeria accredited to ECOWAS who will be briefing the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the PAMSEC now, Foreign Affairs. We have an undersecretary in charge of Africa. We have the director of West Africa. We have a director of ECOWAS in Foreign Affairs. It's a ministry that works. Have you not seen Undersecretary from Britain coming here to address us? Representing the whole of United Kingdom. People do not make mistake that when we have no ministers, then the ministry has stopped. No. Continues to work. We have them. And we have reserves. We have about 200 retired ambassadors who are more brilliant than me. They're there doing nothing. Practically no pension. That's what's happening in Nigeria. We are underutilizing what we have. We are much more endowed. I'm there. I speak 15 languages by the grace of God I've learned. What do? You are retired. You are just... That is what is killing Nigeria. We're not using what we have. We're not using them. And we're not training. This is the undoing of Nigeria. Let me tell you something spiritual. The day I saw a vision, I saw a cow being led to slaughter by a small boy. And the Almighty God opened my eyes and said, if this cow knew the power in its horn, it would take some hefty men to lead a cow to slaughter. That's what's happening. So Nigeria, we have so powerful people. They're there. Mostly in Abuja, we have more than 200 retired ambassadors who are strong like me. And they are willing to work. If you didn't call me now, would you have heard what we are hearing now? We are there.
Ambassador Obisakin.
In Abuja, in Lagos, doing nothing.
Certainly, and I appreciate you and all the other ambassadors.
Makes us sad because we've been all over the world. We've seen how Israel works, how Brazil works. We've been there, writing and reading. And yet, when you are most useful, nobody wants to use you anymore. And that's why they check out. you imagine me going to America, where we have offers every day? Well, because we are patriotic. We felt we should give this offer to our country. If it's not possible, then you go. That's all. And then you don't see us again. Probably when we're about to be buried, they bring us home. If it's
Oh,
not
no.
anymore.
Oh, no. Thank you. Thank you so much, for this service that you're doing to your country, Nigeria. We appreciate it here on Diplomatic Channel. We hope you'll keep coming back. Ambassador Obisakin, thank you so much for being on the program with me today.
If I don't bore you with my stories, I'm a historian and a linguist.
You can never. I love history.
I need to tell you these stories in Portuguese and Spanish or German.
I would love to hear them
Thank you
someday.
so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. This is where we end the program this week. Remember, you can send in your comments to me via Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. The addresses are on your screen. I'm Amarachi Ubani. I'll see you next time.